Hey everyone, Gail Craft here, and welcome to the Empowering Process podcast. Today we're going to be talking with Claudia Hehr, Hehr. Claudia has been a pioneer in the animal field for over 30 years, and she is the voice for and of the animals. She helps us to communicate with animals and understand the inner lives. So come and listen as we talk to a real live Mrs. Doolittle. Hey, Claudia, welcome. So here we are with Claudia, and welcome, Claudia. I am so looking forward to where this conversation is going to go and how it's even going to start.
Thank you so much for having me, Gail. I'm very excited too. I can talk about animals all the time. So
Right? So I introduced you as like Mrs. Doolittle, and in the movie Dr. Doolittle, like he really didn't want to hear the animals. He didn't want to know at first that
right.
these animals were talking to him, right? So, what was it like for you when you first realized, wait a minute, I actually know what that dog, cat, bird, frog, horse, whatever is actually thinking?
So for me, what's a little bit different than Dr. Doolittle.
I figured as much.
Plus, it's a movie, right? So basically, since I can remember, this big, I saw an animal. It didn't matter if it was literally on TV or in real life, and I knew what was going on in the animal's life. I knew everything about this animal, right? So, and I thought everybody had the same experience. And so I couldn't understand because sometimes when you saw, let's say, an animal guardian with a dog who just, pulled them on the leash or was rough with them, I always thought, how can people do that when they can hear the animals screaming, right? Why would you do that? And so I tried to talk to my mother about that because, again, I was so young. But I grew up in an both of my parents were alcoholics and my mother was also abusive, right? So I couldn't really talk to her either. And but like I said, so I didn't get any guidance or anything like that. I mean, when I talked to my mom about that, she literally said to me to be quiet. Well, actually, she used some other words. And she said, and she said, or people will come put you in the straitjacket and put you in the loony bin. So seriously.
Right? Right.
So I didn't really talk to her about that. But then later I saw the movie Dr. Doolittle and I thought, oh, that's what I want to do. Not knowing that I was doing it, right? Because it wasn't a Q&A kind of thing, like a back and forth. But yeah, so basically I've been doing it my entire life.
So I would imagine that you pretty much were in the closet with it.
Yeah,
I've been in the closet and I'm out of the closet now
yes.
and I'm coming out more and more and more. Um, so when was it that you felt brave enough to crack the door open a little bit?
Right.
And then what happened?
So because it's been so long that so I grew up in Germany, right? And I came to Canada when I was how old was I? The first time, like I was 20 or something. And so so again, when I grew up, the only person I could talk to about what was going on was my sister, and she didn't understand it either. But the older I got, the more I took it in what the animal said. So sometimes if I knew an animal was abused, like for days, I couldn't even eat, right? So my sister, meaning well, she said, Claudia, just stop doing this. It doesn't help you, right? So I tried to help, like take her advice. I mean, she was the only one. She was older. I mean, I had no self-confidence anyway because of my upbringing and right. But and then also I wanted to work with animals, and she said, no, don't do that. So I chose the business world kind of thing, and that was horrible. So anyway, so when I came to Canada as a domestic, I had absolutely no self-confidence, no nothing. And but I reconnected, right, with the animals, and they kept on saying to me that they want me to speak out for them. And literally through the animals, I got the confidence to do it. And also I was when I started the animal communication, at that point I was living in Ontario. And in all of Southern Ontario, I mean, there was only one other animal communicator. Like it was unheard of. So it was almost like when you said you speak to the animals, like people kind of like walked around you kind of thing, right? And but I just yeah, I got the confidence to stand up and say what I'm doing um because the animals pushed me. I mean, I still get tears in my eyes if I think about that. So they helped me to overcome the shyness and all of that. I mean, for crying out loud, here I was on TV telling people I'm talking to the animals. And before I couldn't even walk down a hallway because I was so scared, people just looking at me. And now, hey, I'm talking to animals. So I literally came out of the closet.
Right, right, exactly. And I think um, the sensitivity that we ignored, right, growing up for whatever reason, when we're able to tap back into it, I just think it's phenomenal because it means that we're walking away from the lies that we were told, right? And when we get to find community and support, it's almost like the straitjacket coming off, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you think about that, with my childhood and everything, right? So seeing it now, I believe that we choose everything in our life, even if we don't know it.
Hmm.
So choosing that childhood, like I always say, if I would have been brought up in the Brady Bunch, I would never do what I'm doing, right? I would never do it. So being brought up that way, like my mother being abusive, I literally had to learn how to read my mom's mind to know what to do. But again, I was a child. I didn't know that I was doing that, right?
Right, right.
So, but that prepared me to do the work that I'm doing now, right? So I have made total peace with my past and everything, and I see it as a blessing because it helped me, and I created it to do the work that I'm doing now.
So, thank you because, you know, in the coaching world, I hear now this is happening for you. And you take it to the next step, which I do as well. And that is, oh no, it was created by me
Mhm,
so that I could live the experience that I chose to live.
mhm.
And I may not like what I'm going through, but I now understand why I'm going through it in order to alchemize, in order to change, in order to grow. Um, it's a hothouse. It's the pressure to create the diamond, right? Out of right,
That's a wonderful way to put it, yeah. Because
right.
I mean, this is not just something that I do. I mean, my life's purpose is to speak out for the animals, right? To show people who animals really are, the real truth. And um and yeah, I mean, if that's my life's purpose. And so having gone through all of that, you know, has given me the opportunity, given me the tools that I need.
Right, right. And I've actually started playing with that myself since talking to you. Right, with our dog. We have a rather old dog, and it's my daughter's dog, but it's really my dog now. And and I'll be, it's a little bit too soon. I have some work to do. Why don't you go and lay down in the crate? And as soon as I'm done, we'll go for a walk. And she'll turn around and go lay down in the crate.
It works, doesn't it?
Right. And then as soon as I'm done, I promised you I would take you. And so sometimes I have to wake her up, right? And I will because I promised her I would take her out.
Well,
right?
that's awesome. Yeah, because yeah, don't break your word. It doesn't matter, because I mean, we all souls, right? Everybody says your body has a soul, which is incorrect. Your soul has a body,
His
right?
body, right, right, right.
And it doesn't matter what the body looks like. So, if you give your word, you got to keep it. Also, otherwise, I mean, your animal companion will why should it trust you, right?
Right, right.
Because people keep on promising, and I have this one client, and they always ask the animal companions to do something, and then they promise to do something in return, right? And they never keep the promise. And that went on for months and months. And at one point, their cat companion said no, because they knew exactly, you know what I mean? They always kept their word, but it was never given back. So,
Right. Yep. And you're right. It doesn't matter if it's a cat or a dog or whatever. I went to visit a friend who has, and her dog is still not even a year. And so they're jumpy and right all over you. And they had the dog on a leash because she's just too jumpy in the house. And so they let the dog loose for whatever. And so she came over to jump all over me. And I tried the hand sign for her to stop. I'm like, she doesn't know the hand sign yet. Okay. So I just wrapped my arms around her and held her. And I said, you need to calm down. I want you here. I want to pet you, but you need to calm down. And she calmed down. And
yeah.
then she laid on the couch next to me and I pet her. Right. So, and that's what I would do with a child. If a child was going crazy with excitement and joy, right, I would hold them and ask them to calm down, and then we can play. But you need to calm down. And they usually do.
Well, animals are amazing. Like I said, there's so much to animals that most people don't know, because what we've been told about animals or taught about animals, it's all from the human perspective, right? So we see an animal, see the behavior, and we judge it through our eyes, right? But that doesn't help, because if you're thrown into a den with lions, don't act like a human. You got to act like a lion, right?
Or
I
your dinner.
because even if you think about it, as a woman, if you judge a man as like a woman, it won't work, or vice versa. And we are the same species, right? I mean, we
Hmm.
know that men think different than women think different than men, right? And we accept that. So the same with animals. I always say that because there's such a gap between humans and animals, right? That we got to close that gap. And rather than saying it's a different species, like we should say it's a different culture. So let's say it's a dog culture, it's the cat culture, the horse culture. I mean, we travel the world to explore different cultures because they're so interesting. We can learn from them. So we should see animals as cultures as well.
Yeah, sometimes I will look at the dog and when the cat was alive, look at him, and I would say to my daughter, "Oh, they're thinking blah blah blah." And she'd go, "Oh, Mom, you're reading way too much into what's going on right now." And I was like, "No,
No, it's
no."
really interesting. I had this client of mine, and I love this example because, again, like I said, we judge things from our perspective, right? And then if an animal doesn't do that, we think they're wrong, or we see an animal acting out, and we judge it through our eyes, which doesn't explain anything. So the same when people talk to a dog, they think you talk, first of all, you're talking to 2-year old or a dog. All a dog wants is to live in the country and have a bone. So I had a client of mine. She wanted to know if her dog companion was lonely and wanted another companion because she had to go to work. So her dog companion said during the session said that yeah, he would like another dog companion, but he would prefer if she could stay at home and work from home. And she said to her dog companion, sweetheart, I'm so sorry, but I got to go to work. My boss won't allow me to work from home. So a dog companion said to her, well, why don't you start your own business? And she said, hmm. She said, I'm not a business person. I don't know how to run a business. I don't know what to do. I don't even have an idea of what to do. Like, I have no idea. So her dog companion said to her, well, you're good at this and this. So why don't you start this way, do this and this? He gave her an entire business idea and a business plan. She
Right?
followed it and she made $1 million in 1 year. So people wouldn't even think about that. You know what I mean? Um, like you have no idea what animals can tell you. I
Well,
mean,
they have an egoic perspective, right? They don't have the human ego while watching. So they have probably a clearer vision of our essence and our capability than we
yes.
do of ourselves.
Yeah, and they know so much. I mean, again, they don't know just for the bone and in the countries. They know so much. I have this one client, and she called me and she said she works at a shelter, and she said, Claudia, we have this dog, and he just got adopted again several times already. If he comes back, he will be put down. So
Mm.
we just have a couple of people who are interested, right? So I talked to the dog and I said, okay, you tell me, who would you like as a family? And he said this and this and this. And he needed to be in the country, right? He said, if I'm in the city, I get claustrophobic. I get really scared. I can hold on for a bit, but I get so scared with all the people, the cars, the noise, right?
Yep.
So she adopted him to somebody outside and never came back. So what happened was he was adopted in the wrong environment. He tried so hard for a few months and then he just couldn't hold it anymore. So it wasn't his fault, right? So by listening to them, we find out so much more, and it's so wonderful to communicate with animals. Like you have no idea, like the sky's not even the limit.
Yeah, and for me, I've kind of tuned in to the animals. Um, we got a puppy one time. We go to the pound, always get a pound puppy. And we played with them all until one clicks, right? And bringing him home, he must have been 6 or 8 weeks old, literally was in my arms with his head on my hand, right? Now he ended up being like 60 pounds. But at that point in time, right, that's how small he was. And I don't even remember training him. I really don't. It was that easy. And I would play catch with the dog, and I will not bend down and pick up the ball. I would stand there and put my hand out, and it didn't matter to me that it was slimy and disgusting. I'd be like, if you want me to play catch with you, put the ball in my hand. And he would. And then when he was done, he would take the ball and go someplace else. Right? I'm done playing. I'm not chasing this thing anymore. Right?
That's another thing. We don't have to train dogs.
No, I didn't train the dog.
We don't have to because people think you have to train them, but we don't have to train them. A dog innately knows how to go to the bathroom. A dog innately knows how to sit down. A dog innately knows to come to you. What we have to do is we have to teach them how to live in this human world. So, same thing. We don't send our kids to training camp. We send them to school where they get a teacher who teaches them. If
Right?
we send them to a coach to train them, then it's maybe because of a a sport
Right, right.
but we don't train our kids either. And we don't, like, I mean, if you take a course, you don't do a training course. No, it's an education. So the same
Which
thing. So
brings something out.
exactly. So
Yes.
that's the same thing. I mean, we have to change the way we what we've been taught about animals, because again, so much is because it's all from the human perspective, so it's not correct. It's so messed up, like I said, dogs just want to be, have a bone and live in the country and all of that stuff. It's so amazing when you listen to the animals, the wisdom they have, and the knowledge, and it's just absolutely wonderful. Like
Well,
it,
and there's
awesome.
so this particular dog, although I got the dog for my husband, again, ended up really mine. And there were two examples that I was floored because he was just a hush puppy. He was big, but there were certain, even my son, like he didn't like my son petting him. So there was something he didn't like about my son, and my son's like, "That's cool. I'll play with the cat." Right? Right? Um, a neighbor came by. my daughter used to play with his daughter for some reason, and the dog got between me and the door and wouldn't let him in. So I said, whatever it is that you have to say, you can say from there, because obviously you're not coming in. And so he did. And then, and I know he picked it up from me because I didn't feel comfortable
Right.
either. But then another time I had a friend over, and I ran upstairs to grab something before we went out, and he had her pinned in the kitchen. And he's never done that to anyone else before or since. But he did not want her walking around the house while I was not there.
Hmm.
Right. So I'm like, well, that's interesting. She goes, well, what was that all about? I said, he doesn't want you around the house. We're going out anyway, so let's go.
That's awesome. That's wonderful that you didn't punish him for that because there is a reason. That's the thing. When animals do something, there's always a reason for it. It's just that most people don't listen to it, right? Like with
Right.
cats not using the litter box, it's usually a death sentence. But animals talk with us all the time. It's just that we, or most people, they they have not learned the animal language, and I'll teach people that, right? How to communicate with animals. So an animal talks to you all the time. And let's say again a cat, and you don't listen, but it's really
Oh,
important, right? But so then
so
the
I
animal,
have to I have to share a cat story with you. I'm sorry.
okay,
So, and I don't know how this happened, but would have the cat litter in the bathroom because that's where I go to the bathroom. That's where he could go to the bathroom, right? And I went away for a while and I had some friends come over a couple of times a day to feed him, clean the litter, and play with him. And when I got back, one of them said, yeah, I came by and I went to clean the litter box out, and there was not anything in there. And I realized that your cat is a social pooper. So I sat on the toilet and he went.
that is so
And
sweet.
it's true because every time I would go in, he would come in with me. And it just never occurred to me that he was waiting for me.
Yeah. See, when you look deeper and you see that, wow, right?
Yeah.
So if you, it's so amazing. It's wonderful. We have to look deeper. So, but again, going back to the little box problem.
Hmm.
So, so your cat wants to tell you something, and because people don't hear it, they don't understand, right? So the cat thinks, okay, what can I do that they listen to me? Okay, maybe I stop playing. But then people say, well, they're getting older, they don't play. Okay, so the cat says that didn't work. What can I do? Oh, I stop eating. Get attention, right? So then we take them to the vet, they get a stimulant, so that won't work. And then the cat says, I tried so many things, talking to them, changing my behavior, not eating. Okay, what about not using the litter box? That gives attention right away, but unfortunately, bad attention, right? So people don't think about talking to the animals because there's a problem. So usually they go to the vet. But animals, like when they misbehave, it's always an outcry for help because they keep on talking with us, but we just don't understand, or most people don't understand it. So
Hmm.
it's so sad. But I have not, and I've been, like I said, I communicated my entire life with animals and professionally 25 years now, and I have never become like I really never met an animal who just did something out of spite. Because people said, she did that, he did that because I did that. That's a human thing, right? It's not the truth.
Well, I will tell you, in my first marriage, by the way, was a narcissist. Um, I had a cat before we got married. And when we were married, that cat would get between him and me and push him away,
There you go.
right? It would push him away.
You cat knew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
always listen to my guys. It's like with my animal family, like dogs and cats, right? But with my dogs, for example, when we are in the city, and you're walking around, they're listening to me because, hey, I look out for the cars and traffic and who knows what, right? And what's going on in the city. But let's say if it's something else about in the home or if you're somewhere else in the country or if it's at night, they watch out for me. I trust them, right? Because I know they will let me know if there's something not right. So
Hmm.
we have this if it comes about human thing, like human laws, then I'm in charge. Otherwise, yeah, okay, you take care, right? Because I totally trust them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll share another story. So got a cat. It was a family cat, and he was 4 when I got him. And he had been declawed, fixed, declawed, and a tooth removed all at the same time.
Oh
So
God.
this cat had trauma, right? And so the cat would, you would pet him for a little bit, and then he would attack and bite, and with his back claws, you know. And so I'm like, "Well, okay, so what's going on with the cat?" So I did a little bit of research. Why do cats do this? And I guess they don't really understand. But one of the things that I found, they said the cat gets overstimulated. It's like rubbing in the same spot on your arm, and that's the only way they can stop you, right? So I'm like, okay, so I need to pay attention to the cat when I'm petting him. And so what I noticed was after petting him for a while, he would want more, but part of his body was saying enough, like his ears would be going back, but he'd be rubbing for more, right? And so I would stop and say, you have to calm down. You have to calm down. And if he didn't, I would pick him up and then, just like a child, put him in timeout in another room, close the door for about 5 minutes until he calmed down, and then let him out and then pet him again. It got to the point where if he got that way, I would just look at him and point, and he would back up into timeout himself, yelling at me, calm down, and then come out. So, so we knew that he's just getting overstimulated. And sometimes I could catch it early enough and stop petting him until he calmed down and then pet him some more. And then we didn't have to do the timeout thing. Very rarely did I have to put him after about a year or so into timeout. It was
But
just
again,
me
it's
understanding him,
yeah,
right?
it's giving and taking. And again, usually we only blame the animals, but no, maybe we did something that upset them. Or the same when we communicate with animals, there's a trick to saying it the right way. So a lot of people, when they talk to the animal companions, they're saying it the wrong way. And then the animals understands it the wrong way, so does it the wrong way. And then people say, see, it doesn't work. You can't talk with animals. Yes, you have to do it the right way. Right. So, I mean, when I first came to Canada, I mean, I had some friends who taught me swear words and they said it means nice things. So I used them and I got in trouble all the time, right? So for example, I remember because then I didn't trust them anymore. And one time we went out in the evening and I don't drink alcohol, right? So I wanted something to drink, but I didn't want a Coke or anything. So I thought, oh, well, what else can I drink? And they said, well, drink a ginger ale. And I didn't trust them. So ale is beer. So I thought ginger ale was a beer, a light beer, right?
Mhm.
So I
Well,
didn't
there is ginger ale, and then there's
ginger
ginger ale.
ale. Right. So I did because my English wasn't very good. So I didn't drink ginger ale for a long time because I didn't trust them. I thought they'd get me in trouble. So I mean the same thing. You gotta say it in the right way and and stuff. But yeah, we can communicate with animals about everything. I mean, likes, dislikes, traumas, fears, what happened to them before they came to you, their wishes, what's going on, physical, emotional, any wishes they have, or I mean, you name it. It's like talking to another person, except that it's done non-verbally, right? It's done
Right.
through telepathy. But the same way, I mean, we continuously using non-verbal ways of communication, like writing an email, that's nonverbal. Writing a
Right.
text, it's nonverbal and everybody uses it. And what we've done with that is too, for example, rather than just writing words, because you can tell me something and I said, yes, great. So what does it mean? Yes, great, you did it. Oh, yes, great, right? So now
Right.
I started with emojis so that the feeling comes out. But that's all nonverbal. Or sign language. That's nonverbal. So the same thing, we just use telepathy, which is a nonverbal way of communication. But
Well, humans communicated non-verbally
we do it
we
all the
could
time.
before language. Absolutely, absolutely.
You still,
Um,
because let's say you're a friend of yours, you're meeting a friend of yours, and then your friend calls you and says, "Oh, Gail, I'm sorry, I can't make it tonight, and I'm not feeling well." And you think, okay, but you think there's something, you feel it down here, right? And then the next day, your friend says, yeah, sorry, I was lying to you because this and this and this. So you already, we use it all the time. Because when we think and when we speak, we send out telepathic messages, period. It's a soul ability. It's not a human ability, it's a soul ability.
It's a soul ability. And again, back to the beginning where we're talking about when you have the opportunity to tap into our innate sensitivity, right? Um, I know what's going on with someone before they'll even tell me. And you don't have to tell me because I know what's going on, right? Which is why I'm a pretty darn good coach. But I would never say to a client, well, you're full of fear and anger and shame. But I would be able to ask questions
Guide them, right?
and
That's a good
guide them there because
way.
I know where they need to go,
Yeah.
right? Um, and I know how not to respond because someone feels blah 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 blah. And even if what they're saying is not what's true, I know they're saying it because of fear, shame, guilt, or whatever, right? And that's their story, and it's not up to me to fix it,
No, you can't fix it for
right?
anybody. That's the
Right.
same with animals that like when people train them and they use fear, it won't work. Because at one point, I mean, even you, if somebody puts you under pressure, you only can hold on for so long, right? But if you do it with understanding and communication and it's a total and love, it's a total different story, right?
Well, back in the day when I was a teenager and hung around in a gang, I used to say, I don't get angry, but I will get even, right? Right. And I honestly think animals are the same way. Like you said, they will listen, they will follow, but if it's through abuse and fear, they will get back. They will retaliate. They
And then
have to,
unfortunately, I mean, yes, and yes, because I mean, if somebody beats you up, I mean, if you have that in a relationship and one spouse then kills the other because he or she couldn't take it anymore,
right,
and usually, I mean, even the law said, yeah, they weren't responsible for that action. But an animal, because we don't talk with them, we don't understand them, we don't put that in, they're going to be killed. The
right.
animals are always
Well,
the
once
ones
an animal attacks, that's it. They're no good anymore. That's not necessarily true.
exactly because what, why, how, and who, right?
Mhm.
And like I said, an animal always tells you something's wrong. But again, most people unfortunately don't understand it yet. So, I mean,
Mhm.
my dream is that there's so many more people learning it. And for example, too, if you, for example, at veterinarians, that before you take your animal companion to a veterinarian, that they work with a communicator and they have to fill out a questionnaire. Because usually you go to the vet and say, here, my dog, my cat is not eating. Oh, how should the vet know, right? So they do all those tests and whatever, and they don't know either. But if we talk to the animals, and I have a lot of clients, they ask me before they go to the vet what's going on.
Right.
Then you have a vet. I mean, the same thing. If you go to your healthcare provider, you don't just go into the office and say, well, what's going on with me, right?
Now,
He or
I have
she
diarrhea and I don't know why.
Oh, even, exactly.
Right.
So, me as your healthcare provider, I would say, okay, Gail, so when has that started? Is that at night? Is it after you eat something specifically? Or do you have any other ailments? What's going on? Got
Right.
a fever? And
Right.
then, but what's going on? It doesn't help. So, the more we communicate with them, the more we know. And we can communicate with an animal the same way as we can communicate with a person.
And the thing is they can trust you so much. So that dog that I was telling you about, um, he did some pretty stupid things, which caused him to have chicken and rice his whole life. Thank you very much, which I would cook. Um, but at one point, had him at the vet just for a regular checkup, and the vet says he had a fatty something on his stomach, right, the stomach area, and he said, I could take it out, do the surgery now. It's probably just a fatty deposit, no big deal, or we can do it later. And I said, well, why don't we just take care of it now, right? so good thing because it turned out to be very aggressive cancer. And the vet got it all because we caught it like right at the beginning. Now, because the wound was in the stomach, the vet didn't close it up because otherwise it would just hold fluids. And so I had to inject antibiotics into the wound on a that baby let me do it. That baby let me take care of him because he trusted me,
Mhm.
right?
But see, that's a totally different relationship because we communicate with them. You don't just communicate with words, right? There's so much more. And they feel it, they know it. And so, yeah, you have a total different relationship. I mean, it's usually when you start communicating with your animal companions, before you think you have a good relationship, but then you start communicating with them and it brings it to a totally different level
Oh
because
my goodness.
how many people communicate with animal companions, right? And when they do, it's like for the animals, it's like, wow, they're
Yeah.
listening to me. They really listen to me. So it's sort of you like you kind of go like this, but then you communicate, you really connect. And they so appreciate it. They
Oh,
so
they're so amazing. They really are. So, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, Claudia, and find out more about what you do, or maybe work with you, how would they do that?
The best is just send me email. You can go onto my website. It's claudiahehr.com. So that's CLAUDIAHR. Sorry, no, HE. So let's do it again. CLAUDIAHEHR.com. Or they can text me at TALK@claudiahehr.com.
Fantastic. And that'll be in the show notes, guys. So don't worry too much about it. So again, Claudia, this is so amazing. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and sharing your wisdom. And everybody, thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. If this resonated with you, please give us a thumbs up. If you know someone who could learn something from this, share it out. And as always, please do subscribe so that you know when the next episode is available. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. Be sure to visit Gail at gailcraft.com to learn more about how she serves thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and goal seekers. And remember, if you like this broadcast, be sure to share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.